Author and columnist Mark Steyn has been following this, too, and he joins us tonight. So, Mark, typically you'd want to withhold judgment on something like this because you don't know what's in the letter. But here's what we do know. Judge Kavanaugh went to high school at Georgetown Prep in Bethesda, Maryland. If there was a crime alleged 35 years later, presumably that would be referred to the Maryland State Police or the local police in Bethesda. Instead, Senator Feinstein sent it to the FBI, federal authorities who would have no obvious jurisdiction. So that tells me right there that this is a crock, and it's the worst kind of smear, a smear you can't rebut against a man with a wife and small children. I'm not sure I've seen anything lower, ever.
No, you're absolutely right there. As you say, the FBI has no obvious jurisdiction here. I think in the normal course of events, given that this is something to do with the junior prom in Maryland in 1981 or 1979 or whenever the hell it was, it would be going to juvenile court. So this would be the first United States Supreme Court justice to be tried in juvenile court. That's a legal first. I think what we have here is actually the equivalent of what happened when Comey briefed the president on the so-called Steele dossier about Russian hookers in his hotel room and all the rest of it. And that gave the pretext to the media. Because Comey then leaked news of the meeting, that gave the media a pretext to discuss the dossier. Likewise, Senator Feinstein releasing, as everyone said, the secret letter from a secret person about a secret matter about the high school prom, has now given cover for a lot of sexual allegations. We don't know what they are. They're half a lifetime ago. And as you say, it's not something that he can be rebutted. And the real battle here, Tucker, is actually between Dianne Feinstein and the New Left. They were disappointed by the big shot Democrat dinosaurs' performance in the hearing rooms, and they want something a little more Antifa, a little more Black Lives Matter, a little more Bernie Sanders. And it's pathetic to see Dianne Feinstein, and I've no idea what she did at her high school prom, however many years ago that was. It's pathetic to see Dianne Feinstein reduced to this.
Well, it's disgusting, and the dynamic you describe is exactly what's happening. The dinosaurs who are on their way out in charge of that party are terrified, and they're responding to them up. Let me ask you a question that seems reasonable to me. It'll probably spark protests against me somehow. And I don't know what the allegation is, and I'm prepared to withhold judgment on that. But a 35-year-old allegation, if it exists, that has never been reported to the police, doesn't that at least raise the question of why has it never been reported, assuming it hasn't been?
Yes, it's actually. I think it's wrong to go back and relitigate a past you didn't litigate at the time. I think that's very, very dangerous. You see that as part of this moral panic that has gone on over the Me Too things. I mean, if you go back to the nearest comparable thing, the Clarence Thomas business, that was within the previous decade. We're talking about something that was never I mean, the only reassuring thing about this is that, as you know, investigations are interminable in this country and in Washington in particular. And the only good thing about this is that the FBI has looked at it and kicked it out of their purview in 10 minutes flat. And good for them. They're not opening an investigation. They've just given it to the White House. They don't want to touch this. She's just diminished her own reputation by participating in this smear.
I've never met Brett Kavanaugh. I have no personal stake in this whatsoever. But I don't honestly, I think any normal person should be offended by this. This is too much. It's too low. It's disgusting.
Oh, absolutely. It is. And this high school, I gather this is where Neil Gorsuch went to school, too. So apparently it's where all Supreme Court judges. That's what it's the preparatory school for. So maybe he did something at his prom, too. Yeah. Maybe it all goes back to the proms
it's
at
unbelievable.
this particular school.
It's an all-boys school, for whatever it's worth. Mark Steyn, we'll see you in just a minute. Thank you for that.
Thanks.